So I didn't really know what to think about this whole thing, except I was intrigued. I was intrigued by the synchronicities. I was intrigued because I felt I had an emotional connection with this person who happened to be a guy, which is very unusual for me. But I pretty much put everything to the side in terms of what I was thinking or feeling, because I had to get ready, right? I had to get ready to move. And I had some pressing things regarding my family. I was getting ready to start a new job. I was getting ready to relocate. And I just figured, okay, well, it'll work itself out when I get to Philadelphia. Now, in retrospect, there were a couple of red flags for sure, but they weren't so overwhelming types of red flags that I would cut the person off. And I will say that in 2019, I was more likely to give people the benefit of the doubt. Now, I want to do a little sidebar and tell you why. In healthcare, we are always giving people first chances, second chances, third chances, fourth chances. We're giving people the benefit of the doubt. We're rooting for that person because they are in such serious situations that if we just said, okay, well, we tried today and that's it, and if the person's sick or something, then they would never get better, right? So what I didn't realize at the time is that my compassion and empathy that I showed working as a healthcare professional transferred over into my personal life without me even realizing it. So though these red flags showed themselves, and in retrospect, I would have cut the situation off immediately, knowing what I know today, I did not have that information. Hence another reason why I'm doing this video series. So one of the things that I will say is that from the messaging, there was he was never overt about it, but he would kind of make these small sexual innuendos. And I thought, okay, if this guy is just interested in me for sex, that is not something I want to pursue. And it was almost a little bit disappointing to me because, I mean, we're middle-aged people. We're not in our early 20s or something like that, where I think these things can be more forgivable. We really were on two different levels, right? And the thing that I realized is, I'm just going to say I didn't realize some of these things because they never even entered my mind. And I don't know if it's makes me naive or just innocent or just maybe a little bit too trusting at that time. But I think I have to remember I didn't think I was really interested in this person. At the time, I thought a good metaphor is, I thought I was in the ocean up to my ankles, but gradually that water was rising, okay? And so I'm in the ocean thinking I'm up to my ankles, but I'm probably, by this point, I would say we started messaging at the beginning of July, and then I would say by the time I left at the end of August, I'm probably waist deep, and there's a riptide starting, but I didn't realize it. The other thing that was a little bit of a red flag is that, I guess what I'm gonna say is it's a blessing and a curse that I'm independent, and I'm gonna say it's way more of a blessing. So for example, driving cross country by myself, I was really looking forward to that. But from working in healthcare, I was very used to a one-way directional energy. That's the best way I'm going to put it. And my healthcare workers, you're going to know what I mean. And what that is that you're just constantly putting energy into other people, right? Constant. And I wasn't dating anyone or involved with anyone in my personal life. So that, you know, that energy was really not coming back into me. Although as a single person, you know, I was able to almost refurbish myself through yoga, through a lot of silence, etc., etc. Okay, so the reason why I mentioned this one-way directional energy is that I was very used to basically not being cared for myself. And so when I was packing up I should say, you know what, let me put that in the positive. I was very used to caring for myself and not having anybody else do that for me. So when I was packing up to move cross country, one of the things I thought about in subsequent years is you would think that a man would maybe express his concern, so to speak, like, hey, we've been messaging a couple of months. I just want to wish you well on your trip. Really, just be careful, stay safe. Is there, anything that I can do, to help you out at all? Not that I expected that, and that's the thing. I guess some people would say that's being overly independent, but in my experience living in the United States, I've had to be that way. Yeah. So anyway, there was really none of that. It was almost like he's like, oh, you'll have a fun trip. And in looking at that, honestly, if I was messaging with someone and it was a guy, I would say, hey, have a great trip, but be careful. I look forward to seeing you when you get back. But there was really no concern, is what I would say. But the flip side is, I said to myself, well, he has no reason to be concerned, in the sense that we don't know each other very well. He doesn't owe me anything, and I don't owe him anything. Yeah, to him it was an internet game, and we'll get more into that as these videos go on. So by August of 2019, I'm packed up in my car. I'm ready to go. I had been through a lot. It had been in a good way and not so good way. It's just when you go through these intense periods in your life, it's so funny. Occupational therapists always talk about balance, and my experience is when you go through intense times that change your life, there is no balance. That's one thing that I'll say. So I was packed up, ready to go, looking forward to my cross-country trip, and there were several metaphysical things that happened on that trip that I'll get into in subsequent videos. So if you're with me this far, I appreciate you watching.